Yeah, you're right. We haven't seen an attack like this in Turkey's capital since 2016. So as you say, it's a fairly rare event. Certainly terror attacks and security concerns are not that rare. We can talk about that as well. But as you say, the timing of this is all very interesting because Turkey's parliament did in fact reconvene yesterday afternoon, and the world was watching because the biggest issue that parliament is due to take up in this session is Sweden's accession to NATO. That's something that President Erdogan at a NATO summit earlier this summer said that he essentially green-lighted, and now it was up to Parliament to officially give it its stamp of approval. But at the heart of this issue are these exact security concerns, and Turkey alleges that Sweden has been harboring terrorists associated with the PKK and other groups. And really the issue is when it comes down to freedom of expression, which is really enshrined in the Swedish constitution, and something that Turkey takes real issue with because they don't like to see, protesters in the streets waving PKK flags and supporting these sorts of terror groups. And so these are sort of two issues that are really making both of these countries at odds with each other. And events like this certainly throw those issues front and center.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And it is, as you point out, the differences in the way the two nations are governed. Of course, President Erdogan has been cracking down incredibly hard on the PKK, which these Kurdish militants, which they do view as terrorists.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's not just Turkey that views it this way. It's the European Union, the US, the UK, other groups have designated the PKK a terror organization. And so this is, as I said, this is something that the country is used to sort of dealing with in a sense. We're less than a year out from a similar style attack in Istanbul near Taksim Square, which is another really heavily populated area. Lots of tourists go there to shop and to eat. And so a similar situation there. There was an attack there, I believe, in November last year. And then we saw a similar set of circumstances play out. There was a swift response from the Turkish government in response to that, much in the way that we saw today. The Interior Minister said early this morning that they've made 20 arrests associated with the attack here in Ankara on Sunday. And of course, the government has said that one of those attackers has been associated with the PKK. It hasn't said whether the other attacker was associated with another terror group. But certainly, as we've been talking, this is something the government is used to dealing with in a swift way. Yeah.
Look, they targeted a number of spots in northern Iraq. Erdogan has also said he wants to create the safe zone along the border with Syria. Is that going to be possible? Is that something that he's on the way to achieving at all?
Well, certainly security is a top concern for many across this country, as we've been talking, because of these sorts of events that play out from time to time across the country. It was a big election issue. It was a big campaign issue for the president when he sought re-election in May. That certainly was a contentious, a very tight race that went to an historic second round. But when it came down to it, he sort of positioned the opposition as not really caring as much about security and terror threats. And as we've seen in the wake in the last 24 to 48 hours after the attack here in Ankara, both President Erdogan and many of his ministers have come out, not only in public speeches, President Erdogan himself at the opening of Parliament yesterday afternoon, but also all of his ministers on Twitter. They're tweeting in capital letters how important it is to get a hold of and stamp out terrorism and these kinds of attacks. So they're taking it very seriously, and certainly this is an issue that the government is taking seriously, and the people across this country as well.
Yeah. Good to get you on, Victoria. Appreciate that update. Thank you so much.
Thank you.